Hi, Joe.
Hey, Zeph.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Zeph.
Take it away, Joe.
So it's been a while since I've been on the podcast. I think I don't know the last time I was on.
I think it was the last episode.
Hey, it's
I'm going to the website right now. I'm finding
Okay.
Not Qualified Podcast. The
If
last
you guys-
episode. Oh no, the next to last.
okay.
Because holy crap, I thought the
Holy crap,
minute.
Lois.
Lois, hey Lois, what the Sigma? What? This is the worst. I thought the minute counter on the episode was the views, and I was like 35 million views. I was like, we blew up overnight.
Whoa.
No, you were on the episode before last, which is
Well,
Not Qualified to Wrestle, where we talked about Iron Claw.
Oh, we talked about. Okay, for those of you who don't know, we pre-record in bulk.
Yeah, but we have been scant lately. Our last episode was over a month ago. And there was a time period in this show's history where it was weekly.
Yeah.
And it was weekly for like a year consistently. That was like season 2. We're still on season 3. And the finale hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, it makes it difficult whenever 2 of the 3 people in mind for this podcast move to different states.
Yeah.
But been a while. Feels like. I think we probably recorded that at least like 2 months ago.
Oh boy.
3.
Oh, at least. I have rewatched the Iron Claw since then.
Yeah,
Since that episode's gone up. I rewatched it. I showed my parents.
I watched that when we were in Stillwater, and we moved. I know I haven't recorded a podcast since I've lived here in Arkansas, so it's...
Hey, you're christening the new place.
True. But we need to watch Grave of the Fireflies, if you haven't already watched it.
It's finally on Netflix. I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, I
was saving it for you, but then you didn't come down, but I'm still saving it.
Okay.
Sorry, Emery.
Sorry. Eberly. Sorry.
There it is.
Everingly.
That actually is vile that we do that. I'm sorry.
Who listens to this anyways? Nobody.
Actually, a surprising number of people, like 30.
Yeah. Thanks, Bryce.
Just kidding. There's way more than that. Way more.
I want you to know that if for whatever reason I make it in whatever capacity, if you scroll through YouTube and you see genius lyric breakdown of Plain Jane song and you see me, I'm going to call out Bryce Patrick constantly because of this podcast.
Preston Patrick?
Preston Patrick.
Dude, we just called out Bryce Patrick for the first time.
Bryce.
Okay. It's all right.
Bryce, what's up?
That's fine, dude. That is hilarious.
Preston. My B. Preston, you were so faithful.
Fair,
the most faithful dentist that we have in our ranks.
By far. Not even close.
And I mixed you up for another person that in your family that I also went to church with.
In your defense, you have not seen him in person in like a decade. So.
I think it's genuinely been like 4 or 5 years at this point.
Yeah.
Any of them. But I feel like I've watched a lot of movies. I don't know if I've watched a lot of movies. And before you say anything, I know I need to get better regarding this podcast about using Letterboxd.
Yes.
Because I don't remember any movie I watch unless somebody says, "Did you watch that movie?" And I go, "Oh yeah, I did." And that's the next time it enters my brain. If I go, "What movies did I watch?" Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I still think of things that I'm like, oh wait, I've seen that, and I probably haven't ever logged it because I've never thought about it again. Like yesterday, I had one. I was like, have I logged Food Inc? And the answer was no, so I had to go ahead and rate that.
There we go.
Anyway, hey, I got Ethan Hill hooked on Letterboxd. Shout out Ethan Hill. He logged everything.
Hey, Ethan, let's go. My
And now I can
favorite
get on and be
7
like,
Brew employee.
yes. And then I can get on and be like, oh, so you watched Signs last night and you didn't like it very much. Tell me about it. It's a conversation starter.
True.
Hey, you know what I did on Friday?
What?
I saw the greatest band of all time in concert.
Dude, you saw the Monkees in concert?
Yeah, the Beatles cover band.
Yeah, dude, that's what's up.
I saw Electric Light Orchestra. More specifically, Jeff Lynne's Electric Light Orchestra, because it's just him. I mean, not literally, but all the other people are 30, you know.
Yeah.
I went, I'm not kidding. I need to tell you about this. So they're my favorite band ever. Bucket list, last tour ever. Their last concert ever is next Friday. I got in just under the wire.
Yeah.
I go to Dallas for the weekend to watch them at the American Airlines Center where the Mavericks play. I've been to lots of concerts of bands that I like, and I'm usually the youngest person there. And there's usually not a lot of people there because I go to like Tears for Fears and Little River Band concerts. Okay.
Yeah.
I went expecting that. But then I should be thinking it's the American Airlines Center. There's got to be more people than that. It was packed, sold out, filled to the brim. And I was not even close to the youngest person there. I was like the median age. Like it was an even mix of young and old and everybody, like people as young as my little sisters and younger. And it wasn't just like college students that want to go to see a concert. It was like 18-year-olds decked out in ELO merch, like vintage ELO stuff.
That's what's up.
Like denim jackets with ELO embroidered patches. Like these are like I was with my people. Like I was like with other people that liked ELO as much as me. It was crazy, and they're young. I don't know how his music has had that kind of staying power, but it has. And then they take the stage, and I expected him to be on a stool because he's like 90, you know. He was not. He stood the entire show, the set list, and it was really like send off. Like I'm gonna give my career a send off. They played everything. I thought that the earliest they would go was Can't Get It Out of My Head. I thought they wouldn't do anything from those first 3 albums, but they did. They went all the way back to the first album and played stuff. They played a song from Xanadu, which I did not freaking expect. They only played one song that was like a new song from the new couple albums. Everything else was classic stuff. They didn't do as much late stuff as I'd liked. I wanted like Time and stuff from Time, like Twilight, or like stuff after that, Calling America, whatever.
Yeah.
But that's fine. And then the other thing is, nothing was fake. I thought that was going to be like, there's going to be a little bit of reality here, and then they're going to be piping in a lot of tracks, and there's going to be some lip syncing, stuff like that. No lip syncing. I mean, Jeff really sang everything, and he sounds great for his age, and he was really singing. I mean, his voice was cracking. You know, obviously there's post processing on there like any concert, but there's no auto tune. And there were real live strings on stage. They did pipe in some strings too, some extra strings for certain songs. Okay. But there was live strings on stage, 2 cellos and a violin, and then everything was real. And you knew it was real too because on some songs Jeff traded off singing with a young guy because he just couldn't like keep up, you know. So it was like instead of faking anything, he was like, I'm just gonna take a step back and I'll sing a verse, you sing a verse, kind of thing. It was an amazing show. The whole stadium was singing along to every song, and people clapped like in beat. And this is the only I'm not kidding, the only concert I've ever been to in my life where when people clapped, everyone was in sync. Like we were actually on beat. We didn't have stragglers. Like we didn't have idiots. We didn't have people clapping on the 1 and the 3. It was great. And on Shine a Little Love on My Life, you shine a little love on my life. Bam, bam, bam. You get the claps there. Yeah. Everybody did the claps, but then they did an a cappella chorus. You shine a little love on my life. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And people were able to do that. Like clap to the beat and then add in the double clap and then stay together, which is really simple if you're a second grader in music class. But if you're a grown adult who goes to concerts, it's insanely rare for some reason to be able to do that. So props to that crowd.
Right on. The only thing that would have made it better is if Luka Doncic just came out of nowhere and
slam dunked on Jeff Lynne.
Slam dunked on Jeff.
Yeah.
If they do the thing where the prank videos or somebody stands behind someone unwittingly with like a basketball goal.
Yeah, dude.
If they did that to Jeff,
that would be so funny. And that's how he died. like died that way.
They killed him on stage. This 6'8" monster just destroyed Jeff.
I actually did think. I think Luke was only like 6. I think maybe I'm wrong. I think he's only a 6'3" or something. But
only 6'3".
He might be 6'5".
He's like your height.
I'm 6'2".
Okay,
Luka Doncic
6'3". So
never mind. You're right. He's 6'7". What? There's no way he's 6'7". He looks like an Aryan. Like if the member of One Direction was also in the SS. Wait, why are you laughing?
I just wasn't expecting that.
He does. All right. So anyway, enough ELO. What do you
can cut this.
Wait. Be careful because I'm not going to edit this. I'm telling you right now, I'm not editing this.
I was just going to say it is super Aryan. I forgot.
You didn't forget. You made an informed decision.
I actually slightly did forget.
Okay.
But I remember what it was.
Okay.
You said if One Direction was Aryan,
rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Aryans. But yeah, I mean, like Hitler killed himself.
Dude.
What's his face?
Oh my gosh, you're right.
Probably did.
There's a pattern.
There's a pattern between Aryans and.
One was in an underground bunker. One was in an above ground balcony.
Yeah, they just can't get the elevation right.
they're zeroing in. This is horrible. I don't think we have any One Direction fans who listen. Hey, shout out Travis Olson for being our one Patreon subscriber.
Hey, there we go.
Wait, no, somebody else told me. No, it was Travis. Somebody came up to me in the past month and said, "You guys were talking on your podcast about who your Patreon subscriber is. It's me." And I think it was Travis, and now I've forgotten again. So I'm so sorry.
Sorry, maybe Travis. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, my wife used to be a Patreon supporter before we got married.
Then you combine monies, and
then we combine money. And I'm like, well, you're just paying me, so
and losing a little bit.
Yeah, so it
Jack from Pomplamoose. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have two ideas for this episode. Go ahead.
Yeah.
No.
Here's the thing. I was gonna say something.
Yeah.
In hopes that it sparked a train of thought.
Go for it.
It's not even manufactured. So.
What do you mean?
No, I mean, like the thought didn't exist. I just said something to create something.
And it did. It created this interruption. So, I had two ideas, right? The first was I was going to scroll through my letterbox and talk about what I'd seen recently. We could do a little catch up. But then I looked over to my left here. There's a notebook, and let me show it. Maybe I'll make this a video episode for the YouTube channel or for the Patreon subscriber.
Thanks
just for Travis.
Thanks, T-Dog.
Okay, so let me show you this notebook. Hold on.
Okay.
That reminds
me. Thank you. Your call is important to us.
Oh, yes. Hello. Real person. Representative.
Doctor, is that from? This is Rachel.
That was perfect. I couldn't even yes and that. That was good. No, okay, so this notebook, that reminded me though, we've been having royalty-free music in every, like for the theme song, since we stopped paying for the theme song. It's a different song every episode. I think everyone should write us in or call us to let us know what their favorite one has been so far. I think it's probably going to be the fart one. But call 918-268-6337 or leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and I will give you a kiss. This notebook has a little alien people on the front. I bought this with the intention of this being my movie notebook. And if I was going to watch a movie that we were going to talk about on the podcast, I was going to take notes throughout it in the notebook, just so I would actually be organized so we could review things properly. Just little notes. And I kept that up for about 3 movies that I watched, and then I haven't done it since. So I could just open this and see what movies I have notes on, and I could share them. And then you could rate my notes.
True. Was there another burp? I don't know. No.
I just did, silently.
I think sorry, Emily, and we should do a little catch up. and I think we should end with no thoughts.
Okay, sounds good.
Um,
I think there's only 2 movies in here because one of the things I thought were 3. There's a movie review, and then something else, and then another movie. Oh nope, there's just one. Both of the second ones are songs I wrote.
right on. So we're gonna do a catch up and then review one movie. As a heads up to you guys, I don't remember all of the movies that I've seen since the last time I was on here. Oh, I wonder why. But I do remember some of them.
Okay.
And that's only because they were last week.
Okay, go for it. Give me one.
I watched the entire Divergent trilogy.
Oh gosh, how was that?
It made me neurodivergent. It was it was not good. I'll tell you that right now. I didn't read the books at all.
Who reads?
But whenever you might have to do this after the podcast. If you want to do it right now, who's going to care? Travis is listening. Travis and Preston are listening. The way they ended the third movie is probably the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Spoil it for me.
So they, at this point in time, they managed to get past the wall in their city to be like, oh, our city was an experiment. The Divergence.
Is Divergent Maze Runner?
No. This is different.
They're different things?
Different things. In Divergent, it's a caste system, like in India, where they're like, hey, you're really good at making crops. You're going to go to this. Except you can choose.
India, another fictional dystopia.
George Orwell, they essentially choose their caste system. Because they're like, I tested really well in this, and this is where my family's from. But they can choose something different. And there's a chance they might not pass all the tests to make it into that caste. But if they don't pass it, they become, they're factionless, and they are homeless, and they're like, nobody accepts them, and they just, whatever, hang out on the streets and wait for handouts. But then there's this group called the Divergent, where they assign to several different factions, but those are dangerous because those challenge the status quo.
I see. So these are not like other girls in the story.
Dude, no kidding. Not like other girls. Shailene Woodley. She is like...
Who did you just shout out?
Shailene Woodley. She's the star of the Divergent series.
Oh, okay.
And spokesperson...
Like middle school classmates.
Spokesperson for the Flint, Michigan crisis. Let's go. Red Power. She...
the native kind, not the communist kind?
Yeah. It's not Red Power, not Red Scare. And she is Divergent, but the system doesn't like that. So if they know that, then they're going to like find you and brutally murder you. Mm-hmm. So they challenge the system. They fight back. I don't remember what happens in the second movie. Oh, one of the characters finds his mom. That's all that happens. And then the third movie, they're like, oh, we're going to get past the wall that's surrounding Chicago. That's where they all live. They're the only ones alive on the earth, I guess. The world erupted in nuclear war or something. But then they find out that Chicago was just a testing ground for other, like... for the caste system thing that they created. Like, their whole worldview is just a project.
Gotcha.
And they're like, oh, actually, divergents are, like, the key to saving the world. Because apparently, everybody in this world doesn't experience more than 2 emotions. Because every time they mention a caste system, a faction or whatever, they're like, this person is... selfless and fearless. So that means they're blank. But if you're compassionate and you have empathy, you're blank. So I'm like, okay, so all these boring ass people, sorry, these boring A people.
What does the A stand for?
Uh, Ash. They they just fit into one fact. Well, I don't get it. I don't know how. I think the explanation was that nuclear war created a like destruction in the human genome or some crap. I
can tell you right now why these characters are simplistic. Okay, I don't know anything about this series, but I know who wrote it. Okay, because this is a young adult dystopian novel.
Yeah.
Which means it was written by a single mom, because J.K. Rowling J.K. Rowling set the standard. Okay, you can't deviate from the standard, and that's why it's the way it is. Okay, that explains it. Anyway, go on, continue.
Yeah. Anyways, they get to the third movie and they're like, "We're gonna get past the wall because apparently divergents are special." And then Jeff Daniels of Dumb and Dumber fame. He's like the top guy. He's like, I run this science facility that studies Chicago, and you guys are famous because we've been watching. They Truman Showed, which is funny because his counterpart in Dumb and Dumber was Jim Carrey, who was in the Truman Show, and that's this whole movie is because they were like, they find out, oh, we've been Truman Showed for this whole.
They Truman Showed Chicago.
They Truman Showed Chicago, and they were like, we've been watching you for your whole life. And then they have like a testing gun that they're like, how divergent are you? 100%, you're dead. And then they kill them. So they get out, and they're Shailene Woodley, the main character. I don't remember her name. I couldn't tell you her name. Her character's name. She's 100% divergent. She's like the chosen one to help humanity. And
so
then,
she just has the most free will.
She has more than 3 emotions. Yeah. And so she's like hanging out with him, and she's like, oh, we're going to make the world so better. And then her boyfriend's like, they're trapping us. And she's like, no, you don't get it. And then he takes her to like an executive meeting, and they're like, wow, it really sounds like Chicago is a terrible place. You should fix that. And then he's like, oh, wow. I should keep lying to this girl. And she's like, I don't like that you lied to me. And then they like shoot a bunch of people. And then at the end, they're standing on this tower in Chicago. And they have this surveillance thing where you can sit in like a pod and you can surveil the whole area wherever you want. It's like 3D mapping. So wherever you want to go, you just like zoom around like it's Google Earth, and you can see how Chicago is running. That's how they saw everybody's life going on in Chicago, and how they watched her whole life. So they're standing on top of this tower, and they're like, we're going to send out a broadcast. Like, you can't bring us down. We're going to stand strong. And there's just like a CGI Jeff Daniels standing off in the background in front of a really bad CGI screen just doing this. And then it ends after like 2 seconds. You have to watch it. It's so funny.
That is the funniest thing I've ever heard. Well, it's Jeff Daniels. That's the worst choice for an ending like that.
He is phoning it in. It's like a extra. It's just a Malibu beach house.
He was probably on set for 2 hours.
Yeah, because his character is meant to be on green screen, so they put him on a green screen. What other thing are they supposed to do?
From home.
He probably did. They probably sent him a box with a camera. They were like, set it up, start filming. We'll fix it later in post.
That's awesome. Speaking of movies that are like that, did you see Megalopolis?
No.
No, me neither. Okay, good. I've seen everything about it and how it's the worst thing ever made, supposedly.
Yeah.
And I think it's hilarious because purely from like I'm gonna make him an oven and he can refuse. Dude, why did Marlon Brando sound like that?
He was secretly gay.
Speaking of Marlon Brando, he was in a movie called The Godfather, directed by Francis Ford Coppola, who made Megalopolis.
Yeah.
So Megalopolis is hilarious to me just from a meta perspective because one of the greatest living directors chooses to make the dumbest, most like self-indulgent, terrible CGI-filled passion project that he can make.
Yeah.
And it is just like him because I know he's never done this before, but the other hymns have all done this.
Yeah.
Like George Lucas literally defined himself by doing this, and they're best friends.
Yeah.
And the other people in that group is what Brian De Palma and Steven Spielberg. Maybe Brian De Palma hasn't done this yet, but it's coming. And then Steven Spielberg has his like the past 10 years has been like amazing, terrible, amazing, terrible. It's like he's hit or miss because he's old. It's like he's just out of touch, you know.
Yeah.
And Megalopolis is one of those, but it's the funniest thing because he's like, this passion project of mine has been in my brain, being birthed from my womb for the past, decade. And he just has been wanting to make this. And then it's like first of all, he names it the stupidest thing of all time.
Yeah, it's a bad name.
It's a really bad name. And then it's like a really like on the nose, terrible social commentary about like our current culture and the very specific state America's in, and the wanting a utopian future. And then he casts every famous actor he can think of, but doesn't write them any good lines. Allegedly, I haven't seen it. Okay, this is just funny. I'm just saying it's just funny overall. And then it's marketed. It's purely funded by him. All his money from his crappy wine goes into this movie, and then he markets it. And the ads. Did you see the ads for this movie?
I never saw any ads. I only saw Reddit discussion about it.
Okay, so it was marketed to me so hard on YouTube. I was getting ads constantly. I don't know why. And all the ads, I'm not making this up. You can't find it now because they took it down because of the backlash. Yeah. But the ads were the funniest thing I'd ever seen in my life because the first minute of the trailer, this is the trailer, okay? Yeah. And it was showing clips from the movie intermittently. But then there's a voiceover, first of all, so it's like a trailer from 2005. Okay. Like there's a voiceover talking like this, and it's showing like The Godfather, and then it shows a review from when The Godfather came out from some newspaper, a terrible review, like self-indulgent, cheese, blah 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 blah, terrible movie, and then it's like it shows a modern review, and it's like cult classic, one of the best movies ever made, and then it does the same thing with Apocalypse Now. It's like a review from when it came out that's like, this movie sucks, and then a modern review like, this is the greatest thing ever. And it did that with all of Francis Ford Coppola's movies, with the implication that if you go watch Megalopolis, you're going to think it's terrible, but it's actually you who's stupid. It's going to be great in 50 years. And then the voiceover tells you that explicitly. He's like, okay. Francis Ford Coppola is a visionary genius. He's always been ahead of his time. The critics can be wrong, but Megalopolis is something you will not want to miss out on, blah, blah, blah. And it's It's the funniest thing. The first minute of the trailer is not a trailer for Megalopolis. It is a hype video for Francis Ford Coppola that he paid for with his own money. It's not a studio that did this. The grind. Yeah, it's awesome. Anyway, then turns out all those quotes, the bad reviews from newspapers back in the day, they were all AI generated and none of them were real because whatever intern he paid to make the trailer, he used ChatGPT. It's like the funniest possible thing. So they took it down and it's gone. And then the movie comes out and it sucks. Allegedly. I think it's hilarious. It looks terrible. Like clips, like just the way it looks, cinematography and everything looks like it was shot in the same room they shot the prequels in. It looks so bad.
Well, okay, so I think I was gonna say it probably is bad. If he was like, oh, it's 1984, I've got to make this movie, it'd probably be divisive yet revolutionary, where they're like, all these actors are like putting on incredible performances and it puts on social commentary, but some things are kind of janky, but it's really just like one of the it's like a masterpiece of cinema. But except he fell into the trap that George Lucas did in 2000 in 99 when he was like, I'm going to redo all of my hard-earned work and I'm just going to like put sci-fi animal butts into the screen that are farting, and that's sci-fi, baby.
Also, what persecution complex does Francis Ford Coppola have? Because none of those movies were critically panned. Like, sure, there were probably bad reviews, but people loved The freaking Godfather when it came out. Marlon Brando won Best Actor and then had the Native American girl go accept the award. It was like a famous moment in movie history because he won the Oscar because everybody was like, that's amazing. And Apocalypse Now, everybody was like, that is an amazing critique of Vietnam. Like, he's not like, I'm trying to think of an example of a movie that's actually like this, because there are movies that are like hated in their time and then they're classics later. But that, I don't think he was one of them. I'm sure there were bad reviews, but I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of the same thing with like Cloud Atlas by the Wachowski siblings. And
I have not seen it, but I have seen Speed Racer, their most famous movie.
Yeah, their best movie. They
I think you mean Jupiter Ascending.
They made that movie?
Yeah, they made Jupiter Ascending.
Man, they did not have a good track run. That's crazy.
Anyway,
what
were you saying about Cloud Atlas?
Cloud Atlas. It was
People
one
love
of
it.
I remember watching that movie when it went from in theaters and then it like went to movie stores, and I rented it with my mom and I watched it and I was like,
Mom.
Shout out Donna. I watched 3.5 hours of like, I don't get it because I'm 12 or whatever, 14. I don't understand what's happening. On a like narrative perspective, I don't understand the themes of what's going on. But it is one of those movies that's like everybody was talking about, that was like, this is either brilliant and it's gonna like define cinema and it's gonna inspire a lot of people 20 years down the line, or it's garbage. And so it sounds like that's kind of falling into the same case, except it sounds like it's just trash and people are trying to hype it up because it's Francis.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it is the best thing I've ever seen. I haven't seen it yet.
What's the other the Damien Chazelle movie that came out that was
Babylon?
Yeah.
We can talk about right now. I am so down to talk about Babylon because
I didn't watch it, but you feel free to talk if you would like.
I'm going to tell you
I talked about Divergent for like 20 minutes, so
and that's going to be the name of the episode. I hope you know, but I want you to know that you
not
need to watch.
Qualified to be neurodivergent.
I was going to say to be like other girls, but that's better. Anyway, you need to watch Babylon. Okay, so
well, because Papa Toby is in it, and that's the only reason I want to watch it.
He came out of retirement for two things: this and Boss
Baby. Got to get that paycheck, Daddy.
Did you see that? What's the method actor's guy's name?
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah, he's coming out of retirement for his son's movie.
Yeah, I did hear about that.
Okay, so watch Babylon because listen, Babylon got bad reviews, not like terrible reviews, but like very middling. Like this is not. It's like Damien Chazelle was like Whiplash, bang, sophomore movie, La La Land, bang, First Man, bang, quiet, but like really well reviewed.
Yeah.
And then people were like, when is he gonna fail? He's the new up and coming. He's the new. Everyone always says they're the new Tarantino, even though the movies they make are nothing like Tarantino. It's just like he's young and a popular
the
director.
Next famous director.
Yeah, because it's so rare for a director to have name recognition anymore. It's just not a thing like it used to be. And so when somebody does, they're like, he is Orson Welles. So people were like, when is he going to fail? And then Babylon came out. And
War of the Jazz.
Yeah, people jumped on it like, this is his failure, so we're going to pan it. But the critics, I will say right now, were wrong. I will say this: if you watch it, maybe watch with VidAngel, because content warning, it's insane. But it's insane with a purpose. It's showing the decadence and evil of Hollywood, and it's like condemning it. Like the name of the movie is Babylon. It's showing like this is the modern Babylon. Is this place where people worship themselves and are sexually perverted and having these crazy parties and doing all this decadent stuff.
I think that was apparent through the trailer. Like if you read the name and you
Yeah.
watch the trailer, you're like, oh, this is like it's about Hollywood and it's about debauchery. I can make the connection. Yeah.
Yes, and it does it really well, but it's also content warning full show. But also, so it maybe critics don't like internal critiques of the thing they love, although sometimes they do. So I don't know what I'm talking about, but critics didn't like it, and I watched it, and I understand why they didn't in some aspects. Like, it's not perfect, it's bloated a little bit, and messy. It's very messy. Like, the story just kind of like gives you whiplash. Get it? But it really does. It's like not polished, really, but overall, it makes you feel, and it displays exactly the way I feel toward Hollywood in like a really beautiful way. Because what it does is it shows like, this place sucks. The people here suck. Everyone's immoral. It is Babylon. It's going to fall. It's this debaucherous place. But then it ends and wraps everything together in a way that says, but look at what kind of beauty it's created. And it ends with this montage of cinema from the beginning to the end, and it starts with like, the moon getting hit in the eye with the rocket, and then toward the end they're showing clips from Avatar, James Cameron's Avatar, like it's in Babylon. There's a scene from Avatar. It's weird. It's got this like tribute. It's almost like his like homage to Hollywood, and it really is beautiful. And the point is, like, this evil place produced good things, good art, and I'm a part of it, but also that doesn't excuse all this other stuff. But it's legitimately good, some of the things that come out of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just like this complex mess, because that's what it's addressing. I think Babylon is good. I don't think it's great. I probably gave it a 3 on Letterboxd. I will, if I go back and see that it's a 3, I'm going to raise it to at least a 3.5, because it needs at least that. But It is worth a watch. It is his worst movie, but it is worth a watch, and it is not bad. It is just overly ambitious and messy.
Okay. If I end up watching it, which I do want to watch it because of Papa T. Is it on streaming? It's not on streaming, right?
It was when I watched it.
Oh, where'd you watch it?
Let's find out. I think it was on Paramount Plus when I watched it.
Okay.
Let me see. Babylon. It is on. It's on Prime right now.
Okay. I might have to watch it. Well, how about this?
Okay.
I didn't watch Babylon. Lane.
What is this? What is this?
It's a Hallmark movie.
Are you serious? Why does it have an 81% on Rotten Tomatoes?
It's actually pretty good.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding. Me and Megan watched this.
Oh, that's the audience score.
We were like, okay, like, whatever. Let's watch a Hallmark. We have found that we hate watching stuff. If we know something's going to be bad. It's like
one of my favorite things.
Dude, if we know something's going to be bad, we're like, all right, pop it in. Let's click on it. We're going to have fun. There's an enjoyment about the process of watching it. As opposed to watching whatever it is.
Also, I love that you still said pop it in, even though that's not a thing anymore.
I know.
You definitely just rent it.
Rent it in. So we watched it, and it's dumb. It's like a murder mystery. There's like a husband and wife duo who are about to get divorced, maybe, and they're like, but then her friend commits die at her work. And she's like, this is really weird. We just talked about like stuff we were going to do at work, whatever. And it was also a guy that there was like clear chemistry between her and this random guy at work. And then they like solve a mystery. And it had zero right to be as good as it was. Let me preface, Preston, that you are not going to like love this movie. It's not going to be a movie that you're like, man, that's going on my top 10 list for this year. It's going to be, I'm going to talk about this movie for ages. It's just subverts your expectations for a Hallmark movie well enough for you to remember it a little bit. And it's all right. It's solid. It's a solid movie. I got to give credit to whoever was in it or whoever directed it. I don't know.
Okay. Mr. Hallmark. Good job.
To be continued.